Students, welcome to class 11 physics class. Today we discuss the last part of this chapter, that is degrees of freedom, and some we find out the degrees of freedom for monoatomic, diatomic and triatomic gas molecules. So let's start with today's class. Degrees of freedom, that means it is the minimum number of ways in which the motion of body described completely. That means if a body can be a body or an object, it will be in motion in different ways. So in how many ways, minimum number of ways in which we can describe the motion of the body completely, in which direction about its axis, or in x axis, y axis, how it will be in motion, we can describe completely it that is called degrees of freedom. In one word, you can say that the minimum number of ways in which motion of body described completely is called degrees of freedom. Or you can say in a good language, the degrees of freedom of a dynamical system are defined as the total number of coordinates or independent quantities required to describe completely the position and the configuration. That means the arrangement of the that object configuration, where it will be situated, what will be its configuration, that of the system, that is called degrees of freedom. Total number of independent ways in which the particle of the system can be described completely, that is called degrees of freedom. Now, for example, if you consider a system which is consist with only one particle, if only one particle are there, so what happen? So there is three ways. If the particle moves along the straight line, we need one coordinate to specify its position, either x-axis or y-axis or z-axis, only any one coordinate if the particle moves in a straight line. So in this case, we can say that that particle has one translational degrees of freedom. Okay, because it is move only the any one axis, either x, y or z. Second, if the particle move along a plane, and we can describe the plane in two coordinates, x and y. Motion in a plane, we discussed that chapter 2D. So we need two coordinates, x and y coordinate, to specify its position or the configuration. So in this case, the object or body has two translational degrees of freedom. Okay, so if the body moves along straight line, we need only 1 degree of freedom. If moves along a plane, we need 2 degrees of freedom. Now if the particle moves in a space, in space we need 3D, three-dimensional, 3 x, y and z. So we can say that the object has 3 translational degrees of freedom. So this is the minimum number of ways we can describe the motion of in how many ways it can be, the body is in motion. Okay, so for if it is in plane, we need the coordinates x and y, both we need. If we will have the data only x, it is not possible. We cannot describe because it is moves along a plane, so we need two values, x and y coordinate. Similarly, in space we need three values, x, y, z. In straight line we need any one, in which axis it will be moved, any one value. So depending upon that minimum number of ways it can be, we can describe the motion of a body completely, that is called degree of freedom. I hope it is clear it now. Now if you consider, this is a system of one particle. Now if the system consists with two particles, then what happen? It is only one particle, that's why the three cases are there. Now if the system consists with two particles, so two particles, that means each particle has 3 degrees of freedom. So that means that two particles individually, it has that above three cases. First particle, if it is in a straight line, then for one particle moves along one axis, another particle moves along. So each individual particle has 3 translational degrees of freedom. Three cases possible for each individual particle. So total degrees of freedom of that system which is consist with two particle, that is 6. That is 6 because it is a system. So if the two particles remain fixed at a distance from each other, then there is a one definite relation between them. And for that result, the number of coordinates required to describe the configuration of the system, it is reduced by 1. So system has 5 degrees of freedom. So in normally each particle has 3 plus 3, that is 6 degrees of freedom. Now if they are fixed at a distance from each other, if it in this cases arise that two particles remain fixed at a distance from each other, then the degrees of freedom, it will be reduced by 1. So in this case it can be 6 minus 1, 5 degrees of freedom. So that we introduce this formula to find out the number of degrees of freedom of the system. F, small f, we can denote degrees of freedom by small f. This is not a focal length, it is a degrees of freedom. That is equals to 3n minus k. What is n and what is k? N is the number of particles in the system. How many particles are there? And k, the number of independent relation between the particles. What relation between them? Independent relation between the particles. Okay. So for the above expression, above case, if the two particles remain fixed at distance from each other, so only one case is there, that they are independent case. So 3 into 2 minus 1, that is 5 degrees of freedom. Now, if the body is a rigid body, then what happens? A rigid body, it has a finite size. It can have both translatory as well as the rotatory motion. If the rigid body is there, it is mentioned over there. If normal body, then normally body or object is written over there. If rigid body is there, then it is mentioned that is a rigid body. So for rigid body, you have, because it has a finite size, no, that's why it has translatory as well as the rotatory motion. So just like translatory motion, the rotatory motion can be resolved into mutually perpendicular components. And so the rigid body has 6 degrees of freedom, 3 translatory motion and 3 for rotatory motion. Clear? When you solve the numericals, no, or the next, this case is monoatomic, you can understand it's very clearly. Okay, so now we find out the degrees of freedom for monoatomic, diatomic and triatomic gas molecules. Okay, degrees of freedom of monoatomic gas. Monoatomic gas means the gas which is consist with only single molecule is there. That gases have a single atom, or we can say that atom has a point mass. For example, helium, neon, argon. These are the monoatomic gas. So because only single atom is there, so it is capable only the translatory motion only. So if translatory motion, so 3 cases arises, that means 3 degrees of freedoms are there. Okay, so it has 3 degrees of freedom. So in n equals to 1, so there is a no independent, because another particle is not there, it is not fixed or at a distance from each other, because only one mass is there, one atom is there. So k equals to 0, so degrees of freedom f equals to 3. Understand? Okay. Now degrees of freedom for diatomic. Diatomic means it consists with 2 atoms. So for diatomic gas like O2, N2, H2, CO, this will consist with 2 atoms. And one thing is there, they are fixed at a distance apart. 2 molecules has a certain, they are situated at a fixed distance apart. So corresponding to the translatory motion, the molecules has 3 degrees of freedom. The molecule has two additional degrees of freedom due to rotational motion about two mutually perpendicular axes passing through its center of mass. So we can say that the or mathematically we can write n equals to 2, k equals to 1 because they are fixed at a distance upward. Only one distance is there. Okay. So F equals to 3 into 2 minus 1, that is 5. This is for diatomic gas. So diatomic gas, the number of independent relation between the particles, that is 1. If you see the figure, you can understand. A and B, this will be fixed at a distance upward. And there's another one case for diatomic gas only at higher temperature. Whatever you find out, F equals to 5 degrees of freedom, that is a normal temperature. But at higher temperature, like 5000 Kelvin, a diatomic molecule, they will start vibrating in a vibrational motion. Atoms are starting vibration. So each vibrational motion has the kinetic and the potential energy. So 1 degree of freedom of vibrational motion is taken as 2. That's why we can say that our diatomic gas molecule, it has it can has the two possible cases. One is a normal temperature, another one is at a higher temperature. So at higher temperature, what happened? The atomic molecule has two additional degrees of freedom due to the vibrational motion. Each vibrational motion has kinetic and the potential energy. So 2 degrees of freedom of vibrational motion is taken as 1 degrees of freedom of vibrational motion is taken as 2. Clear? Okay. Now we talks about the degrees of freedom for a triatomic gas. Triatomic gas, in a figure you see that 3 molecules are there, and so there's a number of independent cases. These 3 molecules are fixed at a distance upward. So independent relation between the particles, that is 3. 3 in distance are there, so 3 independent relations. So in place of k we can write 3, n equals to 3. So F equals to we get 6. F equals to we get 6. Okay. Now if the in a second figure, if the particles are situated like that way, this way, so there is a independent cases at 2. K equals to 2. Okay. So in this case the degrees of freedom will be 7. So it has two possible cases. One is for nonlinear molecule diatomic gas, two cases for nonlinear molecule H2O, SO2, and for linear molecule CO2, CS2, ACN. So two cases are possible. Clear? Okay. Now we discuss about the specific heat of monoatomic gas, diatomic gas, and polyatomic gases. We in last previous chapters we discussed about the Cp, Cv, and gamma. We know these things, so we use that concept here. Okay. So first of all, the specific heat of monoatomic gas. Monoatomic gas, that is hydrogen, argon, etc. So a molecule has 3 translational degrees of freedom. We know that. And oh, sorry, because before we discuss this specific heat of monatomic gas, first of all we discuss the law of equipartition of energy, because this concept we use in to find out the specific heat. Okay. So law of equipartition of energy, it states that in any dynamical system in a thermal equilibrium, the energy is equally distributed amongst its various degrees of freedom, and energy associated with each degrees of freedom per molecule is half kBT. This value is constant. Half kB into T. kB is a Boltzmann's constant and T is the absolute temperature of the system. Okay, so how can we prove these things? We prove we using the previous concept. Um, for kinetic energy of a single molecule along x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, for when we find out the pressure derivation, we got these things: half mu square, half mv square, half m w square. We resolve in three components, u, v, and w. Now, when the gas is at thermal equilibrium, the average kinetic energy, that is written as a C bar. So half mc bar, that is equals to 3 by 2 kBT. We discussed these things also. So C bar equals to also u square plus v square plus w bar square. So half m C bar square equals to half m u bar square, half m mv bar square, half m w bar square, that is equals to 3 by 2 kb into T. That is equation 1. Now, if the molecules are in a random motion, so there is a no preferred direction of the motion. So the average kinetic energy, we can write all are in a equal. Half mu bar square, that is equals to half m v bar square, that is equals to half m w bar square. So from equation 1 and equation 2, we get half m u bar square, that is equals to half m v bar square, that is equals to half m w bar square, that is equals to half of kb into T. You just solve 1 and 2, you get half, that is equals to half kb into T. So the average kinetic energy per molecule degrees of freedom, that is equals to half kb into T. This concept we using to find out the specific heat. According to the law of equilibrium energy, the average energy associated with the degrees of freedom per molecule, that is half into kb into T. Okay. So the average energy, so in monoatomic gas, it has translational degrees of motion freedom. So according to the law of equilibrium energy, the average energy associated with each degrees of freedom, that is half kb into T. So for 3 degrees of freedom, 3 by 2 kb into T. Okay. Now we know that the R is a gas constant per mole of a gas and Na is the Avogadro's number. So the total internal energy of 1 mole of a monoatomic gas, that is U, equals to 3 by 2 kb into T into Na. Now kb into Na, that is equals to R, capital R. R is a gas constant. So that is equals to 3 by 2 RT. This is the total internal energy. Why we find out U? Because in CV or CP, in CV, when we find out the CV, we need du by dt. That's why we find out the total internal energy. So CV equals to du by dt. So ddt of 3 by 2 RT. So we get 3 by 2 into R. Now CP equals to CP minus CV equals to R. We know that. So CP equals to CV plus R. So 3 by 2 R plus R, that is equals to 5 by 2 into R. And specific heat ratio gamma equals to Cp by Cv. So if we put the values over there, we get 5 by 3, that is equals to 1.67. So this is the process to find out the specific heats of a monoatomic gas and the specific heat ratio also. Specific heat means Cp, Cv individually and the ratio of specific heat ratio. Okay. Now come to the point for diatomic gas. So diatomic gas, it has two cases. One, the molecules are in rigid, another one is not rigid. So rigid means it has a moderate temperature, N2O2 diatomic molecules. So moderate temperature, the molecules have 5 degrees of freedom. We already find out 5 degrees of freedom, 3 translational and 2 rotational. So according to the law of equilibrium of energy, the total energy of the mole U equals to 5 by 2 kBT into Na. So kb into Na, that is equals to R. So we get 5 by 2 into R. Sorry. Yes. Now we find out Cv. Cv equals to du by dt, that is equals to 5 by 2 into R. Cp equals to Cv plus R, 7 by 2 R. So and gamma equals to 1.4. This is diatomic molecules behaves as a rigid rotator at moderate temperature. Now second case, if the diatomic molecules is not rigid, but also that means it is a higher temperature. It has a vibrational mode. So each molecule has a additional energy that is equals to 2 into 2 is one vibrational motion is taken as a 2. So 2 into half of kBt, so it has only kb into t, because vibrational frequency has both kinetic and potential energy mode. So u equals to, how can we write? U equals to, we can write 5 by 2 kBt plus kBt into Na. Okay, so that is equals to, we get 7 by 2 RT. So normally Cv equals to du by dt 7 by 2 R, Cp equals to Cv plus R 9 by 2 R, and gamma equals to 9 by 7, that is 1.28. Now for triatomic gas, a nonlinear triatomic gas, it has also two cases, a nonlinear, another one is a linear. 6 degrees of freedom, so U equals to 6 by 2 kBt into Na, that is equals to 3RT. Cv equals to same process, du by dt, that is equals to 3R, Cp equals to Cv plus R, that is equals to 4R, gamma equals to 4 by 3, 1 by 33. And for linear triatomic molecule, it has a 7 degrees of freedom. So U equals to 7 by 2 kBt into Na, 7 by 2 Ra, Cv equals to 7 by 2 R, Cp equals to 9 by 2 R, so and gamma equals to 1.28. So if the specific heat of a triatomic gas, and for a diatomic gas, it has a two cases. So if exam, it will be coming that specific, find out the using the law of equalization of energy, determine the values of Cp, Cv and gamma for diatomic gas and for triatomic gas. So you have to find out these two cases, not only write only one. Okay, because it has a two cases. For triatomic linear, non-linear, for diatomic rigid rotator at moderate temperature, not rigid, but it has a higher temperature vibrational mode. So you have to mention two cases. Okay, now the last topic, Brownian motion. You also heard this term Brownian motion in chemistry. It is discovered by Robert Brown. From its experiment, from the pollen grains experiments of that flower, it will be suspended in a water, and he saw that from the microscope, noticed that they are continuously moved about in a zigzag, and or the random motion, not a fixed one. This irregular motion of the suspended particles called Brownian motion, because Robert Brown discovered this, that zigzag motion or the random motion of the particle. That's why this is called Brownian motion. Okay, and if we find out the cause of the Brownian motion, then we get any object. Any object, it is suspended in a fluid. So it is continuously move by a fluid in molecules in all direction, or bombarded with a fluid molecules from all direction. That means the object suspended in a fluid, that fluid particle and the object, it will be collide each other in any direction. If the molecule is sufficiently small and still visible under the microscope, the impact of molecules from all sides give rise to an unbalanced force in a certain direction. So as soon as the particle moves as a little, the magnitude and direction of the unbalanced force change, making the particle move in a new direction. That's why they will moves in a zigzag motion, in zigzag manner, or the random motion. And the factors behind the Brownian motion, that is, the Brownian motion, it will be increased with the decrease in size of the if the suspended particle is very small, then this Brownian motion, that random motion or the zigzag motion of the particles will be increases. And it will be increased if we increase the temperature of the fluid. It is increased if with a decrease the density of the fluid. If the density is more, then it will be not suspended freely. Okay, and another one is, it is increased, Brownian motion is increased with the decrease in viscosity of fluid. Clear? And this is already discussed, the law of equalization of energy. So this chapter will be completed here and your syllabus also be completed. So from next onwards we start the revision work. So you people first tell me from which chapter we start the revision. So from that chapter or from that chapter, any chapter you have, if you have any specific topic, subtopic of that chapter, please mention in a WhatsApp group. And if you have any problem from this video, please write in a comment box. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Tata, bye bye.